belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one that tries.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison between the USD Sway and the Aeon 60 Nickelomax. First, let me just say that this sway is a basic sway with a basic liner. My dog is going to jump in the frame, and hi, Ray. With a V2 sole plate, basic liner, and really nothing special about this sway. And this is a pro model. The only thing I changed is the wheels. I swapped out the basic wheels, which I'm probably gonna put back on just because they're soft and good for park riding. I swapped it out for undercover team wheels, which are also really good. But anyway, so pro model, not pro model. If you find yourself in the position of, I'm gonna push you out of the frame, though. If you find yourself in the position of wondering what boot you should get, whether it be the Sway or the Aeon, and you are dead set on getting a USD boot, these are my opinions on what that is, I guess. Hi, girl. You know what? You can stay because you're cute. Let me check to see if the camera's on because I have a habit of forgetting that. Okay. Let's see. So, USD Sway, basic boot. I did upgrade the sole plates. I actually have the Razor Cold Copper cuff bolts on purely for an aesthetic thing. I thought it kind of gave it an icon vibe. So yeah, I thought that was dope. It does have the Kaiser Fluid 5 frames that came with it. I rarely use those though. Currently I have Featherlight 3 Grind Rocks in it, and I was riding an anti-rocker. The liner that comes with this, while I found it to be comfortable, I didn't find it supportive. Let me just say that I have a size 13 foot. I was gonna say boot. I have a size 13 foot. I guess it's not wide, but it is a narrow foot. So this actually felt quite large. I think a lot of that had to do with the liner. But I had to put some shoe filler on the inside because I didn't want to buy a new liner on the inside, and that seemed to fix a lot of my heel problem. However, I thought that I needed a more padded liner, actually. Even with the inserts, I thought like maybe just a more padded, thicker liner would have fixed my issue with the boot, which my issue was, I guess, forward flexion heel lift. I thought that would fix the issue, and for the most part it did, but I never really had a lot of confidence on this boot, and I feel like the entire time that I was using this way was either trying to maintain things that I had already learned but never really getting out of my comfort zone. So that was my experience with the boot. As far as other things that I did to it, I had a white Gen 2 sole plate on it as well, and then I also rode the Featherlight 3s, Kaiser Element 260s, a Rossi street frame, and then yeah, the frames that are currently on it. I also swapped out the laces for waxed laces, and I also at one point had a 43 or 45, I'm not sure, degree strap on it as well. I found that with the heel inserts and with the heel inserts and the wax laces that I kind of really need the strap. So that was fine, girl. So that was fine, but I always found the boot to be rather heavy in comparison to my Razor's Colts boot. And then a lot of people have said that they find the boot to be really light or to fit narrow or something like that. I didn't find that to be the case. Again, I have a size 13 foot, and this is an 11-12 boot. And I found it to be too big. the width on the toe area and the height on the toe area was perfect. Height. There you go. The width and the height and the toe area were perfect, but the heel area seemed a little bit too wide. You gotta go. There you go. The width in the heel area was a bit too wide, and I had a lot of slop going around there, and then I didn't feel always supported right here until I fixed the laces. But that is my personal opinion on this boot. As far as the Aeons go, actually let me first add, I thought I needed a thicker liner in this, but I put the liners from this boot, which is a MyFit Second Skin liner, in this boot, and the liner made a really big difference. Apparently that liner is supposed to be good for downsizing, which my mind was like, oh, it'll be less supportive. But I guess it is just that much better than a stock liner, that it gave me all the support that I needed, and I didn't have to sacrifice foot room. So if you're curious if the liner is actually that big of a difference, yeah, it really was. It felt perfect in this boot, which is awesome. It was really good. You're blocking the light, girl. What are you doing? Anyway, okay, back onto the Aeons. So, as you guys probably know, you can't eat that. That's plastic. That's like scraps from my sole plate. I wanted to add a few more things. To me, the sole plate, the way that they slide on the SWAYS, it's very boot, sole plate, frame. And I get that that's what UFS pretty much is. But it felt a little bit more exaggerated and a little taller than I was used to. And I guess the Colts aren't that much different, but they feel very different in height wise, I guess. And I did notice that the Colt, the way that the sole plate is mounted to the boot is different than the way the sole plate is mounted to the boot on the SWAYS. And I don't know if that has to do with it, but felt taller on the SWAYS and a little bit more tippy when I would jump into grinds. And I do know that that is it because, well, that could also be because the Sway is a raised heel boot and the Aeon is a flat boot. However, the Aeon has a really big shock absorber on the inside, so it does give you that more upright feeling, I guess. Anyway, yeah, and then as far as how the sole plates slide speed-wise, I've heard that the Aeon gets really slow after you've grinded it a while. I haven't really worn that down yet to figure it out, but that's what I've heard. However, I tend to grind things at an angle. Like usually if I'm grinding my rail is on the downward slope of my driveway, in which case I don't want that much speed because I don't want to slide out and fall on my bike. So the slower speed is kind of fine to me. However, if I were to spend more time grinding ledges with angle iron or things like that, I'd probably want it to slide faster. As far as the Sway goes, I never really noticed it to be a super like fast sliding boot, but I've seen other people kill it. I think I just was so uncomfortable with the boot that I never got to progress that much with it. Whereas like on my Colts, the only issue I had with it was the sole plate was narrow, but it slid fast, lightning fast. And that's pretty much my 2 cents. Yeah. I keep coming up with different thoughts while I'm editing this video. Anyway, if you really care about swapping out frames, Sway. If you don't care about swapping out frames, Aeon. Yeah, this is scraps from my sole plate. Nick Lomax, USD Aeon 60. The liner right off the bat is perfect. I did not heat mold it because it felt awesome right out of the box. I think the I don't know, hooks is probably the best way to go. yes, there's a crap ton of forward flex. It almost felt like I was less supported in the ankle. I don't want to say that. It felt like there was more flex around the front of my foot. I guess upper shin area into the foot. It felt like there's more flex with this boot, but was twice as supportive, to the point to where I could use the flex to my advantage rather than viewing it as a hindrance. Another thing that I noticed is that this boot right here, with just the frames and hardware and sole plate, is still heavier. Again, no wheels, no liner, is heavier than this boot fully put together, which is insane. And I think the lightness to it and the support that I got from this aided a lot of my confidence. So as you can see, the heel area looks a little bit more narrow fitting in comparison to the Sway, which I really like, because narrow feet. I can't really tell you how this boot or the other boot would fit for someone who actually has an 11 and 12 size foot, because I have a size 13 foot and they fit perfect. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, the liner, awesome. The boot is incredibly light. I actually overjumped things a number of times until I got used to it, and then that was fine. The H block is similar to that of the Kaiser Element 260s, which I have used before. I don't really like metal frames. I find that it slides different on different materials, which takes away from my confidence. But I did like the H block profile, and this has a very similar H block profile, but I feel lower to the ground. This is probably the only flat setup that I think I could ride confidently. Yeah, I don't think I could ride another flat setup. I think, like, usually I'm an anti-rocker person, but the Aeon it definitely, like, makes me feel qualified to ride a flat setup, which is good. I really want to do that. Another thing, because this is lighter, I found myself trying things that I haven't done before right off the bat. Like in the last video, I jumped off an 8 stair. I counted 7, but some of the skaters at the skate park said that the last step is a double wide, so it counts as 8. Anyway, nice and easy. Jumped down an 8 stair. I've never done that before, so I did it. And then I jumped off the bank, which was the other side of it, and I did a 180 off of it, actually. So I found myself getting outside of my comfort zone. I find that the hooks are really awesome. However, I did bend the hook and I had to, like, smack it back. Probably not good for the material to be doing that. I think the double laces are useful. I don't know that it's 100% necessary. I haven't tried it without, but the liner does come with laces. I can't tell you if it's 100% necessary. I think I said this already, but I did find that there's a lot more flex forward, but it didn't take away from any support. It's really trippy because it feels super supportive. Like, it kind of just feels like you're wearing a sock that has wheels on it. You feel very supported. You don't feel like you're gonna fall out of the boot. You don't feel like you're over flexing. Actually, you do kind of feel like it's over flexing first when you try it on, in comparison to that of, like, this boot or like a Colt. It does feel very flexy. However, it's a mind cluster because it's very supportive. Yeah, that was really different. I did find that this boot, it fits a little bit more, I'm not gonna say narrow. It's really in just the places that I needed to fit narrow. This kind of felt like it was my perfect boot right off the bat. But I do think, you can just look. I think that maybe it's a little bit lower on top and maybe just slightly more narrow around the toe box in comparison to the Sway. But I don't know that it's gonna be too noticeable. But what I did like is that I found a lot more support here, which is what I really need. Yeah, I think that's it. I feel like other than that, I'm just raving about this boot. Don't get me wrong, I like this boot. I like it a lot. But like I said, I found myself never really getting out of my comfort zone, doing things really sloppy because I was scared, because I just couldn't get used to the boot. And this boot, I felt like right at home right off the bat. But yeah, mainly I really only wanted to do this video because I have a size 13 foot and this is an 11-12 boot. So I feel like that's gotta mean that it might be a little bit big for someone who actually has an 11-12 foot. Might feel a little bit big, but for me, having a size 13 foot, this is perfect. It's also incredibly light, and you get to rock a flat setup with a huge grind space. So my personal opinion, if I were to choose between the Sway or the Aeon, I would go with the Aeon. It's not to say that the Sway is a bad boot, it's just probably not for me. I do have plans for the boot, just with a different take. I'd like to make it kind of a wizard slash, I don't know, part setup. Yeah, anyway, that's my opinions. And yeah, if you find that useful, let me know. If you didn't find it useful, let me know, preferably nicely. But anyway, as always guys, like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.